the only workout split you actually need. In the first 6 months of whatever training, you're gonna see so much stuff on the internet. Bro split, push-pull legs, arms and back, and then they overcomplicate it. Here's what actually goes into making a split. Frequency. How often are you gonna be training? Which depends on how many sets you're gonna be doing. I know it looks complicated, but just stick with me here. I'll be so honest. Once I explain this to you, you're gonna be like, oh, well, that's simple. I can just do this. And I'll be like, oh, yeah. And also, then you might be able to make your own workout split. Through studies, it's been shown that 2 to 3 times a week is the best frequency for muscles. Training about once a week isn't that great. Your muscles actually physically cannot maintain. Your muscles never maintain, which a lot of people are like, oh, well, I can maintain, but. It's not how it works. Your muscles are either always growing or getting smaller, always. Which means whenever you're not stimulating muscle growth, they're shrinking. Just how it works, right? But it's not like when you stimulate a muscle, it will be growing for like 2 days or something like that, or like the actual response will be there for like a day or 2. Already on the 3rd or 4th day, it's a bit like, it's a bit shaky, it's a bit, you know? What we're gonna do is, I'd recommend anywhere between 2 to 3 times a week when you're training a muscle. The bigger the muscle, the more I'm gonna be like, train it twice a week. Because if it's a big muscle, okay, what's a big muscle? Quad. Am I gonna say train quads 3 times a week? Probably not. Okay, I've done it. I've made splits where people have been training, because I'm gonna be honest, usually it's my clients who are women and they're like, I want massive legs. I do not care about my upper body. And I'm like, okay, how many times a week can you train? They're like, every time of the week. And I'm like, okay. So I'll give them quads 3 times a week. But the fact that they train quads so often, I have to give them super low volume so that then they can recover in time for the next one, okay? For most people that want to grow everything completely, I'm gonna say twice a week is about kind of the nice spot. If you have a smaller muscle, okay, that isn't like your quad. Quad isn't a small muscle. Let's say you have a small muscle. Let's say lateral delt. Your lateral delt is just this to this. That's the lateral delt. It's a small muscle. The muscle's this big. It's a small muscle, okay? That one, yeah, you can probably train 3 times a week because your body doesn't have as much to repair, right? So you could train it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, let's say, okay? And then what you can do is on Monday and Wednesday, you're going to do less volume because it only has 1 day in the middle to repair and to recover. But on Friday, right, if you're going to rest Saturday and Sunday and you have 2 days rest, on Friday you can do a little bit more volume because then you get 2 days rest, right? So the whole thing is you're playing with the volume so that you can stimulate as much growth as you can, as often as you can, right? But still recover so that you can train again and you don't get injured because you have the progressive overload, okay? That's the whole point. When you're making a split, you want to stimulate as much as you can and then recover so you can then stimulate again and grow. Our main aim is always just to grow more and stimulate more, okay? Here's another thing. Your first set of the exercise will always give you the most amount of muscle stimulus. The first set gives you like this much stimulus, okay? The second set will give you like this much. The third set will give you like this much, okay? So that's why it's kind of better to do stuff more frequently, right? Than to just hammer it and then, you know, try to recover. I used to train legs once a week. Big mistake. Because do you know how hard I had to train my legs to stimulate like a bunch of growth? And then do you know how hard it was for me to recover? My legs used to take 5 days, 5 or 6 days to not be sore. I don't know if you understand what that's like. On the second day, I couldn't walk properly because it was so messed up. We don't actually even want to be sore, if we're going to be that honest. I think a little bit of soreness is okay, but we don't actually really want to be sore because soreness means muscle damage. Muscle damage means fatigue. Muscle damage doesn't mean growth. It means that you probably did stimulate a little bit because you had to have stimulated something, but it doesn't directly correlate to growth, right? It's not just a little graph like this, right? Because otherwise I'd get as sore as I could because then that would mean I'm getting growth, but it's not how it works. So when it comes to the split, you want to do it as frequent. 2 times a week is the best. If it's a small muscle, you can sneak in 3 times a week, but we want to make sure we're recovering. My favorite split out of all the splits is push-pull legs. And you're probably going to be like, oh, but what about upper lower? I've been seeing so much stuff about upper lower, blah, 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 blah. With upper lower, you're going to be overlapping muscles. If you're able to recover from upper lower, that's great. But with upper lower, you're going to be overlapping muscles a lot. What are you talking about? What muscles? Blah, blah, blah. Anytime you do back, you're using your rear delts. Like 80% of the time. You can find a way not to. But imagine you're putting like this, your rear delts are getting used. Because your rear delts will get used any single time that you do this, your rear delts are getting used. If I go like this, they're instantly contracted, right? Same way when you do back, you're going to be using a bit of bicep. When you do back, you're going to be using a bit of forearm. You can get rabs. When you do push, you're going to be using front delt. Anytime you push, front delt. Anytime you push, a little bit of triceps, right? So you're always going to be using secondary muscles when you're training. This is why I don't like upper lower, because I feel like I'd always be using another muscle when I'm training. When I do push-pull legs, I'm pushing, I'm using all the push muscles. I'm pulling, I'm using all the back muscles. And then I do legs. I put my lateral delt on my leg day as well. Now you might be like, oh yeah, but why is that such a good thing? It means that they all get worked at the same time. Maybe that doesn't get as good of a stimulus, but then they get better recovery, right? So if I do push, all those push muscles are going to get enough time to recover until I do push again. Compared to upper, lower, there's going to be muscles that are going to be getting hit one day, not hit, then hit again, then not hit, then hit again. So it's not as great, in my opinion. But the whole thing when you're making the split, it doesn't even matter what type of split you already make, as long as you're recovering and you're able to train the muscle frequently. At the end of the day, it actually just doesn't really matter. If you're able to train the muscle frequently, when I say frequently, I mean 2 to 3 times a week, and you're still recovering, and your lifts are going up, it doesn't matter what split you have. But the most simple and the easiest split for most people that's just going to work is push-pull legs. Rest, and then repeat that. If you need more rest, you can do push-pull legs, upper, and then legs. Push-pull legs, rest, upper, lower, rest, right? And then it's like a 7-day split, and then that way you kind of like get a little bit of extra rest. But in general, as long as you're recovering, you're able to train frequently, it doesn't matter what split you have. You can have anything. Your split could be shoulders and abs and biceps one day, and then the other day it's triceps, hamstring, and neck. It does like, as long as you're able to train it frequently and you're recovering, you're fine. I do recommend push-pull legs though, for most people. It's kind of just going to be the easiest. Ciao.